Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our virtual town hall, our small business town hall. We're here every Tuesday at noontime and talking about critical and important issues that have impacted our small business community over the last 10 months, almost 10 months now. So thanks for joining in. Today we'll continue to update on SBA issues and DBR issues, DLT, which is the unemployment area, the work share areas, and we'll have our regular panel of people on the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition, as well as bringing on some small businesses that continue to tell their story about what's happening and the challenges that they're facing, and the things that they would like to see done. There's no secret that we're involved in a transition that Governor Raimondo has been nominated to be Secretary of Commerce, the Commerce Secretary in the Biden administration. Again, we congratulate her. It's a source of pride for all Rhode Islanders to have a governor in Rhode Island to be on a cabinet with the President of the United States. And so we're in transition mode. We're moving along, talking to the right people, working with, in particular, the COVID task team that's currently in place. In addition to that, we're bringing in our resources, the resources that I have in my network to continue that process of making sure that we're safe. And that's been always one of our top priority, getting prepared for a vaccine rollout. In addition to continue the idea of the masks, which Liz Tanner will be on later, the masks, where our theme this year is stay positive and test negative in 2021. That's certainly an effort we'll make in bringing all 39 cities and towns together to work together to keep us safe and to reopen our economy and get our schools opened up as quickly as it can, and make sure that all our civic organizations are up and running, whether it's the Little League program or our church groups or our choruses and on and on and on, that we need to do everything we can to get that back. So I just want to let you know that our transition's in place. You can contact our office if you feel as though that you would like to be involved. We're currently putting a COVID group together. We're putting a budget group together. We're putting a small business group together. We're putting every single category you can imagine in terms of the equity and justice issues. We're going to hit that head on and bring parties from both sides of that discussion together to create the most safest and most equity-based state that we possibly can develop. So if you're interested, call our office. You can email us and let us know you want to be involved. Right now, I think we're over 150 people that are going to be involved from all different categories in the state. And the main principle is geography. We want all 39 cities and towns represented. I think that we have that right now. And we should be able to kind of jumpstart that towards the end of next week. But we've shifted our staff as one of the last projects into the effort on the transition. There's not a transition budget, as there normally is. So we're making sure that we're as efficient as we can, and also making sure we're as thorough as we can, because when the time comes, and we don't know exactly the date, but when I am sworn in as governor, we want to make sure we're hitting the ground running. And that can happen by our work, but also the contributions that people that live in the state of Rhode Island can make. And we want to make sure that you're welcome, and there's an avenue that we're setting up so that you can be listened to. So if you're interested, give our office a call or email us, and then we'll take it from there. So anyways, let's I always want to talk about this education piece, so let me give it 2 more minutes on that. Please pay attention if you can. Education is a top priority of mine. It has been since I've been involved in Boys and Girls Club work, and also as a mayor of the town of Cumberland. And we are losing hundreds of hours. Every student in the state, it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a low income, high income, moderate income family, a minority, non-minority family. It doesn't matter if you're in a public school, a private school, a Merrill Academy, a charter school, in many ways, a homeschool student. because of the challenges that we've had with the virus and the fact that we're hybrid in most, in virtually every community in some way or form, hundreds of hours are being lost on every student in terms of their education, and we have to intentionally figure out how to make up those hours. My recommendation has been and will be, when I'm sworn in as governor, to really create municipal education departments around the state of Rhode Island. All communities that want to get involved in that, they're going to have an opportunity to do what I did in Cumberland as a mayor, where we run a 52-week-a-year education program taught by retired teachers, underemployed teachers, current teachers, math, science, reading, art, music, science, robotics, leadership programs, all the way from pre-K all the way through the senior high school, helping prepare young kids to be leaders, the leaders of the future. And that's one way, if we're intentional, we can get into all the communities in the state and craft what is needed in those communities intentionally in terms of education programs and be at it 52 weeks out of the year. Our students are, as you know, they're in school about half the days of the year, and they're out of school half the days of the year. And so what are we going to do with that time? We need to be smart about it, and we need to use that time wisely. The future of the students that are currently in school are going to count on it. The futures of the families of the students in schools are going to rely on this economically, and the state and local communities are going to be very negatively impacted a generation down the road if we don't figure that out. So that's something that would definitely make a priority when we get into office. Okay, that's being said. Joe, if Joe's here, and Mark, I know Mark is here as well. Please come on board, and we can. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Mark, I'm glad you got that mask. On my new role, anticipating my new role, Mark, I'm having a number of these Rhode Island maps done.
Oh, that looks good, Governor.
Yes. So this was given by Justin, one of our small business members that original founders of the Small Business Coalition that is alive and well. Justin gave me this, and so I understand he's going to be making me some more. So I make sure that I'm representing Rhode Island well.
Excellent. I thought I would fly the flag a little bit, even though Tom Brady is not with the Patriots, he did make it to the conference championship in the NFC.
So on the other side, do you have the Buccaneers? Do you have like a number 12 or something like that on the other side? No.
No. I'm a home guy, so
okay,
I'm going to stay with that. Interesting that you were talking about education, Governor. I would also suggest, as you're talking about the different things that's being taught, perhaps maybe we can add entrepreneurship and teaching a little bit about business in these schools, because I think the entrepreneurs of tomorrow are within the academies that you're talking about, and certainly I know that there are a lot of people who would volunteer to teach entrepreneurship. And just kind of give a general overview and say, hey, listen, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, when you want to hone your skills, here's some things that you have to do. Governor, I always say that businesses don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So here's an opportunity at a very young age to talk about how we plan. Just my 2 cents.
So in the municipal education departments that we're going to open up to every community to have a chance and then provide hopefully some of the funding to help them get off the ground, Mark, that is a curriculum piece that could fit very well into the community, right? An entrepreneurship. You know that we've done the Entrepreneur Challenge out of our office. Tens of thousands of dollars through our small businesses have been donated, and that's been awarded out in scholarship money to entrepreneurs in the state. So that falls right in. And your idea is perfect. The problem is that, as I know, is that because of the challenges that our schools have to get what they need to get done, it's very hard to add on. So
I understand.
This is why this municipal education department, we call it the Mayor's Office of Children, Youth, and Learning in our town. I got the town council to pass a statute and created that office. That's where you could bring in some of those innovative curriculum pieces, and then the outreach to the community is strong, so that as you build this municipal education office supporting the current school systems, the school models, the general public, our town because of that work, has really embraced education as being one of the basic tenets to live in our town, and so that'd be great. We'll get back to you on that.
Great.
Get back to you on some of the other talks that we had, previously, because we need you involved. We need you involved in the state. You're doing an unbelievable job through the SBA as an individual, but your office is, thank your office too for all the work that they're doing.
I will definitely do that. And Governor, we're more than happy to help any way we can. I want to talk about a couple of things that have come up. One, I had mentioned to you previously, and that is SIC code, or NAICS code. Sorry, I always default back to SIC code, but the North American Industry Code 72 is what Congress put in the bill for 3.5x. And I know that we're getting a lot of calls. I know you're getting a lot of calls. I had the opportunity to talk to Paulette and go back and forth, that there are travel agents and other people who feel that they should be categorized as part of that overall industry. The only thing is, this is law. And Congress legislated that NAICS Code 72 is the codes that we're going to get 3.5x, and we cannot change that. So I just want people to understand that this is what we're looking at from the SBA perspective. We understand that there's a need for additional money, particularly as it relates to travel agents who have been severely impacted. But Joe, as you know, we can only go by what the law provides for us. Those individuals will be allowed 2.5x, and we will work with them. We will do whatever we need. If they need EIDL loans or if they're looking for an EIDL grant, certainly we'll help them with that. But the bottom line is, when it comes to PPP, it is specific to NAICS Code 72 that can get 3.5x. And that's 3.5 times your payroll that you were going to be submitting. The other thing that I want to talk about, Governor, real quickly is shuttered venues. There was a national, I don't want to call it a rollout, because it basically wasn't a rollout. It was just a discussion about what some of the criteria for shuttered venues are and who will actually be allowed to apply for. And these are grants. These are pure grants up to $10 million. The obvious ones, Trinity, PPAC, they come to mind very quickly, but there are others as well. So not all of the rules have been written. Not all of the legislation has been interpreted as of yet. The Office of Disaster Assistance is the ones who are actually working with this right now. We're hopeful that they will give us at least something very soon, so that we can get to everybody. But they did just basically talk about what was in the legislation. And I would recommend that people go to the SBA website, and if you are impacted by a shuttered venue, see whether or not you're going to be eligible for this, because it does go through some of the eligible criteria. Here's the other side of that. If you get a shuttered venue grant, you cannot get a PPP. So it's very specific. The law says you cannot have both. So just FYI, if you do come into that situation where you can get one or the other. Now, having PPP has opened for everybody. My phone, I got here at 5:15 this morning, Governor. My phone is still ringing. Actually, I just shut the ringer off because of doing this with you. There are a lot of questions from both lenders as well as borrowers, and we're trying to answer them to the best of our ability. The lenders are really negotiating this and navigating through all of the different elements very well. I sent 3 particular new updates that came out over the weekend to all of the lenders. Your office, Governor, is on that list as well, where I try to get information out as quickly as possible. I'm not trying to interpret it. This is what Washington is telling us, and this is what you need to follow. I have had some very specific questions as it relates to certain industries that we're trying to get some clarifications to. I do know that there was a hiccup in the processing where it wasn't recognizing whether or not you were forgiven or not forgiven, which has no impact because the law states that you must have spent your first draw in order to get the second draw. There's some 501c6s now, Governor, as you well know, and I know you lobbied for that, are eligible. They're for first draw. So they have to go back in. They have to certify that they're not more than, I think it's 20% is for lobbying. And there's a couple of things that they have to do. So we're working with that. Finally, Governor, we had a long discussion with Dale Venturini and the Hospitality Association last week. We are working with her members individually because, as I have said, hospitality hoteliers are critical to the Ocean State, which is tourism based. And we're going to be able to help them pretty significantly.
Yeah, that's good, Mark. And, we're certainly evaluating what, I might be able to do in a few weeks to kind of zero in on those, most severely impacted, industries. And, and really lay down that, the COVID has impacted everybody. So,
Yep.
That's why the PPP is there. That's why you need to get as much money out as possible, that anybody who qualifies out there, even if they don't think they need it, but if they qualify, I'm encouraging you to go and access those dollars. Those dollars will circulate in the state of Rhode Island, and that's going to help our economy recover. So, go through that exercise, even if you're thinking that you're kind of unsafe territory and, you want to be this, individualist. No, let's join the team here. Any dollars we can bring in, Mark, is really, really important. The other thing is that there's been many businesses that have not been shut down. But I'm still encouraging them to go for the PPP and certainly any of the grants that they're eligible for. But we really need to start listing all the businesses that have been restricted so that we can be intentional about that as well in terms of how we, work on the state level in terms of any levels of grants and that type of thing, and understand that. And even in terms of the incremental, I believe in some sort of incremental advancement in terms of the footprints of our businesses, and then measure as we go along rather than go from 0 to 60 in 1 second. I think that we can kind of incrementally, and we identify those businesses, Mark, that you're familiar with, the industries, and then sit with them and talk about what does incremental advancement look like to reopen the economy. So there's some work to do, but isolating as you have, and you've been lobbying, and rightfully so, the different groups that have been restricted, those who've been heavily restricted, we really need to pay attention to them, as well as, every business out there we need to pay attention to because they all been impacted. But the ones who we've said we're restricting your footprint of your business to keep the state healthy, I think we have a big responsibility to kind of zero in on that.
Governor, the one area that, and I talked to the Hospitality Association about this, that I have some concern about is because seasonal is very defined, and the seasonal, and I use Block Island as an example. When we look at seasonal, there are certain things that they have to adhere to. The 24-week covered period does not change. The problem is if they get the money now, then they're really bucking up against before their season ever begins. So the question is, what do? Do you wait for another 6 to 8 weeks before you actually request? Because remember, once the bank disperses the money, your covered period begins to run. And so, and Joe, I don't know if anybody's come to you about that either, but that's a question that we have raised with a number of people and saying, okay, so if your season begins on June 1st, you might be better off to look at sometime in mid-March. And they say, well, is there going to be any money in mid-March? With the fact that they've lowered the amount of employees, they've actually lowered the amount that you can get. It's not 10 million, it's 2 million. I fully expect, I don't have a crystal ball in front of me, Governor, but I fully expect that there will be sufficient funds. And if there are not, I'm pretty sure that the congressionals are looking at, and I talk to congressionals every day of the week, both the members, our delegation, as well as their offices. So I know that they're very focused on this. So I know that 24-week covered period is a real critical element. Joe, I don't know if you have any additional information, but I know that that's an issue.
Thanks, Mark. I think the question unrelated to that I have and that the governor has is, obviously last time the portal was opened initially, there were some issues with, small businesses that don't have very balance sheets that get them a lot of attention from their finance partner. That a lot of institutions had put in restrictions as to what kind of relationship, the size of relationship that they have had in the past. And I wonder if you're hearing anything about that now, and if you'll be able to let us know if you hear about folks that can't find a finance partner but are eligible and are looking to get a PPP, because I think the governor would want to know about that.
That's one problem I have not heard, Governor, to be very candid with you, that those who got loans from XYZ are now going back to XYZ and they're prepared to move forward, which is really helpful and hopeful from my perspective. But if I do hear those, I'll certainly communicate them with you. We want to make sure that people get what they need as quickly as they can get it.
Yeah, access is very important.
Yeah, and Mark, we had reached out to the congressional leaders a few weeks back, anticipating that, once the ball gets rolling and we start analyzing, the favorable conditions of these dollars, and also some of the challenges that we can do, like we did last time, and you were involved in that conversation.
Sure.
And we were able to, I was talking to Senator Reed this weekend about it, about other things, but clearly this issue. So I think we're going to recontact them and then bring them on again. We had them on the early stages of this program, and then start, thinking about those things, because, those are things are work in progress, the way I look at it, right? They want to get the funds out. There's also another layer of funding potentially that's going to be coming with the president-elect's, initiative. Our job is to identify whatever direction the money comes, and then make sure that Rhode Island maximizes its opportunity, as you've done so well. So I think our congressional leaders could play a role right now, and getting, especially with Senator Reed chairing up some of the important committees on the Senate side, and along with your contacts as well. We can certainly message from Rhode Island on behalf of our small businesses.
Governor, without question, the greatest thing is that in Rhode Island, and I don't want to say it's because we're a small state, but I think that people, particularly our congressional delegation, really is active in the business community and small business in particular. There are a lot of times where I'll pick up the phone. It happened last week with Senator Reed. If they can't get me on my government phone, they call my personal phone. Yeah. And I think that that's the kind of relationships, and I know you have both numbers as well. That's the kind of relationships that we have here. And if we can resolve issues, we want to resolve them. But they're very active and very involved. Yeah. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Ben.
Hey, everybody. So, Mark, we have a bunch of questions for you today, which was definitely expected. And I believe you answered the first one about the shuttered venues. So I'm going to skip to Ashley. Hospitality question in regards to bars and restaurants. Actually, that is not. I think that one is for more for Liz. So this is Tim. Question for Mark Hayward. I was granted forgiveness for my first PPP loan. Less than a week later, the Treasury issued final interim rules on January 6th that stated my first PPP could be revisited if I was underfunded due to a rules change, which I was. But since I was told I could apply for forgiveness and I was granted it in December, I am now shut out. I am now told I am shut out. I am complying with deadlines and doing everything I'm told, but I'm getting penalized for it.
Yeah, that's a Treasury issue that I can't really comment on. I can say that, we've told people, under the rule you have until it used to be until October of this year to file for forgiveness under the first round of PPP. And we recommended to people and a lot of people did hold back for one reason, was for taxes and how to deal with it from a tax purpose situation. So that's one I can't fix, but they're eligible for PPP round 2.
Okay, thank you very much. Diane says, how many weeks is the second draw good for? Do we need to bring back all employees even if we don't have the business to support them?
So it's the same thing. It's a covered period. You can use a covered period between 8 and 24 weeks. I think most people or in between that. And I think most people are looking at it from a 24-week period versus an 8-week period. But it all depends on your business, and it depends on what you need and when you need it. The one thing that I will tell you that's been very successful is those businesses that have used PPP for salaries and just salaries. there's been no question as to related to forgiveness. And I think that's really a question that a lot of people have had. How do I get forgiven the easiest way possible? And remember, the Congress, and I have not seen the application yet, but the Congress told the agency to revisit the forgiveness application. 150 or less basically is going to be, safe harbor forgiveness for all intents purposes, and it's hold harmless for the lender. But remember, you still have to have those documents, which you bring up a good point. And Governor, I talked about this last time. While you do not have to provide the 25% diminution up front to the bank, my recommendation has been make sure you have 25%, because we've had a whole bunch of people who've ended up with 23 or 24. It's not 25. And on the back end, if you can't prove 25, that where you thought you would have forgiveness, it's going to end up being a loan. So make sure you have the 25 before you go all in.
Great.
Next question is from Janet. What are you going to do for micro businesses not eligible for PPE? Or PPP, sorry, not PPE. It's been a long day already.
Micro businesses that are not eligible for PPP. I would suggest that if you could put our website up again. This one you kind of thrown me, because I'm not sure that micro businesses are eligible as far as I know.
I would think there would have to be some specific reason for ineligibility that person would need to address, because I can't think of a scenario where just a broad category of micro businesses would not be in it.
And neither could I. Yeah. So if she provides us with the information, we'll track it down.
Awesome. And final question for you, Alex. This may be a stupid question. No stupid questions, Alex. But is PPP only for businesses with employees? Like, does it apply if you have contractors?
So the 1099s are still eligible, so they'd be eligible on your own. So you cannot file a PPP for those independent contractors. You can file it for yourself. And again, it goes back to whether or not how you filed, whether or not you're using a Schedule K. It depends on how you file your taxes. That's really, but yes, you would be eligible.
And sorry, Mark, I have one more question, but there's no Matt Weldon today, so I think we have time. When is the Streamline application coming out for OMB?
For application for second draws?
I believe so.
It's out. It's
There's a copy on the FDA website.
Yeah. And I've sent that out, and a lot of the trade associations and the chambers governors have put that up on their websites as well.
Thanks, Mark. Joe, you got anything for Mark? Good,
Mark, and I hope that everybody in their financial institutions are fast, and that you don't get stuck in permanent Matt Weldon status with 80,000 phone calls.
yeah.
I know what that's like.
I know you do.
Whatever we can do, Mark, to help you to get that money into the state, that's the top priority. That's for sure.
We'll give you an update as to how much we get out next Tuesday, Governor.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Yep. Oh, hi, Liz.
Hello there.
Like that. You got a little smile.
I got
That's
smile.
good. That's good. I want to make sure I get the state of Rhode Island correctly here.
Joe,
All right. Just to let you know that I was telling Mark, I got a lot of these Rhode Island being done right now. So I think that's a good one to be aware of at this point in time.
I think we got to get Joe. Where's his? Come on, Joe. Put yours
Oh,
on.
no. I'm not a spot at home where I don't have to go out much. So
This one's from Barrington Books, my favorite. They have fabulous ones. They have all sorts of Rhode Island themed masks. This one just says smile, because you can't see a smile behind them.
Yes, we visited Barrington Books on one of our tours, and both in Barrington and in Cranston, which is at the Apple Valley Mall. And my son Matt uses that for most of his Christmas shopping. It's a nice one-stop shop there, right?
It's a great store, that's for sure. They got a little bit of everything for you.
Well, tell us a little bit about the DBI, with things going on there, and then I want to share with a couple of people the work that you and me and Joe are doing kind of on the transition. All right?
Yeah, so I have a couple things to share. I spoke with the Rhode team this morning about a couple of things. They wanted me to emphasize two things in particular. First, the mask wearing. They said, we're starting to see some real trend changes. People thinking that, folks are getting vaccinated, there's no reason to wear a mask. Absolutely, you need to wear a mask. You are still contagious. Even if you have been vaccinated and you've been exposed, you could be. So we still want you to wear the mask. It's very important, particularly when you're in any kind of a small group situation with friends or family, right? So that's the most important thing.
Well, say that again, because that was something that came on our call this weekend with the COVID task team about the fact that being vaccinated does protect you, but you also still could be a carrier. You still could be a carrier, and you need to know that. That's why you want to wear the mask. But repeat that, because I think that most people think the vaccination, they're done and they don't need to do masks, they don't need to do social distance, they don't need to do any of that.
Yep, no, all of that is still important. Until we reach a real high percentage of folks who have received the vaccination, everything stays the same. Nothing changes. Still wear the mask, still maintain your social distance, all of those things. And again, I think, I briefly brought it up last week, just because you've had your 2 shots does not mean you're fully vaccinated. It takes time for that to take effect. Again, not a doctor, not the expert, but it's several weeks until you are fully vaccinated. And I don't think anybody on the planet Earth has reached a point of full vaccination levels. So, so it's important to understand what your situation is so that what you need to do. One other thing that Rhode wanted me to point out was we're seeing a lot of symptom fatigue, right? So you have some folks who aren't feeling so hot. Maybe it's because they feel like they're, it's winter and they have postnasal drip, or the air is really dry, so they're coughing a little bit. You really need to get that checked, right? And if you're not feeling good, you should not be going to work. The numbers of symptomatic people going to work is increasing, which is strange to us because, everybody knows now, right? If you do not feel good now, for the most part, you probably have COVID, right? So you kind of need to check it out and see what's going on. Maybe you have something else, but you got to find out. Same thing with if someone in your house is symptomatic, being tested, and for sure it has tested positive, whoever you live with, if they're sick or symptomatic, you should not be going to work. So it's really important to make sure your employees know that. Ideally, you can try to take care of them in some way so that they are encouraged to stay home. And if any of those things are challenging for you, then you've got to make sure they're getting tested on a regular basis. So that's super key, is taking care of your employees so that they don't get everybody else sick. I'm starting to see a lot of places closing temporarily because so many people have gotten sick in the office or in the establishment. So it's really important to take care of your employees. There's
a lot of contagious situations out there. A lot of my fantasy basketball team has got benched because they had to postpone games. And the same thing is true, the caution, whether it doesn't matter what the setting is. I bring that up kind of tongue in cheek, but I don't like my players getting benched because they, on a postponed game. So let's behave ourselves out, let's do the best we can, right, to follow the guidelines that you're putting in place. But I think a very important one is letting people know the vaccination does protect them to a large degree, very good success rate. But you can still be a carrier of the virus potentially. We don't know for sure, but we certainly believe that's true, and that's why until we know for sure, we have to treat it as such, right? That could happen.
Excellent.
Our businesses can't open up until that happens, in the way that we want, and the consumer confidence that we've talked about, Liz, doesn't get built up until we know that that we're in really good shape, and that's why we got to continue to follow the rules, because we follow the guidelines that are being set by Dr. Scott and the COVID team, then we're taking the best information we have at the time, and we're following through on that. So, Joe, you got any questions for Liz?
Liz, one thing that's on my mind is what kind of advance notice do you aim to have if any of the guidance is changing out to the businesses before they have to be in compliance and or may get a visit that has that item on its checklist?
So, it depends on the category of business. So for pretty much all the restaurants, of which there's about 3,500 of them, we're trying to see each of them about once a month. That's what we aim for. And so they kind of know what they're doing, and the compliance numbers show it. The compliance is really phenomenal from the entire hospitality industry. The numbers are very high. I did see in the chat while I was getting ready, and I see the numbers growing quickly, so I'm not sure what kind of questions I'll get, but I know there were a lot of questions about bars and whether we should be opening up bars. And I have to tell you that while those conversations are happening, the numbers are just not great right now, and so a lot of our decisions are based off of what the numbers look like. And, we do have the ability to see where cases are and where clusters in particular, because if there's only one case at an establishment, it's a little bit different. But when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 plus cases at one restaurant or a food establishment, it does make us very nervous to do that. And so the numbers are just not great enough now to make any kind of decision about loosening things. And so that's kind of where we're at with the bars, because I know that's a big question, but it's certainly one of the first things we'll be looking at once the numbers trend in the right direction.
Yeah. So Joe, sorry, Ben. Go ahead, Ben. As my screen silenced, I got to come back on. I'm hibernating, but you can see me.
Oh, all right. Yes,
Don't
we can see you. Everything's fine with
Don't
that.
worry about that. I'm just keying in. Keep on going. Ask Liz the questions you got. Thanks.
Oh, okay, no problem. So, Liz, yes, most of the questions for you have been in regards to bars, bar seating, limiting time that it's open, and you just addressed that. But I do want to also point out there's also been questions about wedding venues and stuff like that and they're all essentially among the same thing. But Luke from the Wedding Event Coalition said, we want to thank Liz and DOH and Commerce as we are set 1 week today to do a pilot program where everyone will get tested before attending the event, and we'll be creating a video. So that's good. Do you want to talk a little bit about weddings and stuff like that right now?
I just want to say I'm really excited about that. Luke and the team of people he's gathered to kind of really put forward the concerns of the.
You got a phone call. Let's see if. All right, so Liz, you're going to need to restart your browser and come back in because you're not on Do Not Disturb. So your microphone just went to the phone. I'm gonna take you out for a second. Just close out your browser and come back. And while we do that, somebody just commented about not being able to connect with DLT. So I just want to. We do not have Matt Weldon on today. He had another thing that he had to go do. ltgov@ltgov.ri.gov. Send an email to that, and Cheyenne from the Lieutenant Governor's office will put you in contact. Just list all of your issue in that, and then she will forward that to DLT for you. We should be getting Liz on in just a second. Hey guys.
Joe, as has been reported in the paper, you're chairing our transition team going on right now, and steady progress is being made. Just let people know that what we're working on, and share with them so that they kind of get an idea that we're preparing.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Governor. And I think that the message that we've had from you is that this is a really important opportunity to be listening to not just the entire map of Rhode Island, the 39 cities and towns, but every community that makes up those folks. So we have undertaken a very ambitious but important mission of making sure that the folks who have reached out, and you let people know at the start of the show that they can get involved, to make sure that you have an opportunity to hear from everybody on what they think the priorities of the future of the state are. And so I know people can get anxious for an update, but that's a big undertaking. Obviously, a great group of your current staff, and obviously Liz has played an important role in that, and so we thank her for her efforts there. But I expect that all of that work will pay off really tremendously, with just giving a lot of people a voice to express, help you shape your vision for the state.
We wanted, we are certainly on a string here in terms of when the transition will happen, and so we're positioning that group so that it can be a growing group, depending on circumstances, and it can continue, for the first several months that I would be in the governor's office. So we encourage people, whether you're involved or not yet, we're shaping something that, quite frankly, we can bring in several hundred people into this discussion, with leadership at the top, with Joe and Liz is working with us as one of the current cabinet members to help us along with the smooth transition. So Liz, thanks for the help on that. we're going to dig right in, but you're welcome to share some of the things that we're working on. Just let people know the comfort level that a smooth transition, especially under the circumstances, because this show has been a lot about the crisis that we've been in. We wouldn't be having this show, this program, and we wouldn't be having you as a guest here, and Matt, and Mark, and others, and along with Stefan and others, unless we were in a crisis. So we gotta, that's front and center. But thanks for helping out.
Well, I'll just say I feel like you've set up a thoughtful and smart process in order to make sure that the state is sound and can move forward in the best way possible, with the best leaders at the top trying to do their best for the state. I mean, I think that's super important. And that leads all the conversations, is doing what's best for the state.
Yeah, and I would just say the people are watching and listening that, they were wondering how we're going to roll it out, but we're going to roll it out with the priorities of the COVID as being a group of advisors that are going to be rolled out shortly. And then we've got an organizing crew, including Joe and Liz and our staff. We don't have a transition budget. Other governors would have that, because you would be anticipating that through general elections. And then other transition groups, I just wanted to tell people, would have 20, 25 staff people helping them work through what Joe and Liz and others are helping us in staff, and then many, many volunteers right now. So we're getting an all hands on deck type of effort to make sure that we're ready. And then we'll be creating a large call with 100, 200 people that we can kind of give a presentation to, that they can be listening to, and then have the opportunity for them. I guess you can raise your hand and if you want to weigh in a little bit, but we'll have that. We're trying to schedule that before the end of next week, just to let people know. So Liz, you got anything? Oh, Ben, you got anything for Liz? Last time you came out, you bumped her off, so I don't know whether you want to come on or not.
Sorry about that. I'm having.
I did bump her off. Yeah. So these are. We're not taking questions right now about the transition during this. Just letting everybody know that these are questions for Liz at the moment. No, it was basically that the weddings. You were in the middle of talking about the weddings. Luke just said, can we have Liz share her thoughts again on the wedding? So Liz, if there's anything you want to say about that pilot program, that would be great.
Yeah. I want to make sure I do get to say, thank you to Luke, right? He's really led a nice team of folks where we're going to be doing an industry video so that you can show how to have an event safely. We've done this in the past. We did this with the construction industry, and I thought it was really powerful for them to understand. We did this a while ago, so it was challenging to do it, to do something like construction, but we'll do the same thing for the wedding industry so that people can see it can be done safely. When they can start having events, that's still the issue up in the air. Again, the numbers are what lead us to making sure we're making smart decisions. And I know there's a desire to make commitments that are several months out. And unfortunately, particularly with the United Kingdom strain, you just can't make commitments that are far out. But I'm really excited about the video and what this can represent for the industry. I think it might actually be a model that can be used in other places too. So it's exciting to see it. And again, kudos to Luke and his crew for putting forward such a great idea. And we look forward to supporting it and getting it out there for the whole industry.
So that's good. And then Liz, one of the things that we're going to have, I don't think it's going to be a difficult list to get, but it's businesses that have been, restricted. For instance, like manufacturers haven't been restricted to a large degree. Contractors have not been restricted to a large degree. But we have, as you mentioned, restaurants, the related industries, the event industries. I think it's going to be really good to kind of be separating so that we get this, everybody's been impacted by the COVID. So it doesn't matter what business you're in, but certain businesses have been restricted for the very reasons you suggested, which is health. They've been restricted to keep us healthy. So, it would be nice to zero in on any business that, the state has, imposed some level of, guidelines and restrictions on, because I think that those, and Mark was talking to me about it earlier, we got to be aware of that, and to make sure that, we know what businesses need to be incrementally, increased, and also the public needs to see that if it's if it's 80% of our businesses that have been restricted, which I don't believe it is, but then we should know that. But if it's 20% of our businesses that have been restricted, we should know that too, so that we can actually zero in on the areas that need the most attention. So if you could kind of take a look at that in your spare time, that would be good.
Say that all the businesses, you know, as much as the manufacturers, they don't necessarily have restrictions that we're all familiar with. You know, having to maintain your people 6 or 8 feet apart from each other, depending on what the rules were,
Yep.
that's been a huge challenge for them, right? So, you know, so everybody's had their sets of challenges for sure. While there's absolutely been some that have been harder hit than others, it's been difficult for all of them, and they've all had to adjust. But again, we lead by the numbers, and we look forward to kind of, you know, making the changes based on what we're seeing. I spend a lot of time looking at what the other states do. You know, if we see what the other states do and we're all feeling comfortable, then we make changes. I also see what Europe brings, because we're about a month behind Europe. And so if they're really bad, I usually know that we're about to get bad a month later. So we spend a lot of time waiting and planning to see what could happen here. And it's a real thoughtful approach to try to do what's best under circumstances. I mean, I don't think anybody likes to hurt businesses, but it isn't for the public health for everybody.
All right, Joe, you got anything for Liz?
No, thanks, Liz. I guess I'll just use that as an opportunity for a reminder on your slogan, and to Liz's point about making sure your employees don't come up if they're symptomatic. Just make sure you stay positive and test negative, and that we know that with Liz at the helm, that they'll be making sure the places you still need to go do your errands and your shopping and the small businesses are safe.
We got to get Joe a mask. We got to get one for him so he can have one on.
He's had masks.
I have many. It's just
I have one question that's left on here, which is kind of for everybody. Will there be weekly COVID rule updates?
COVID rule updates.
As far as I assume that is the suggestions for the businesses and whatnot.
Yeah, so each time that a rule changes, it'll be announced in some sort of an executive order, because if we need to make a change, it'll be an executive order. So there'll be some sort of press conference usually associated with it. We don't make changes to the rules unless they're publicly known, right? So that would always be resulting in a presser so that everybody knows what's coming. And then those changes are made on the website, so you can look that up there as well.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you so much.
We'll be talking. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Governor.
We'll be talking. All right. I don't know whether we have coalition members. I think Chris is there for sure. Chris and Laurie, hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? I like your new setup.
Huh?
I like your new setup.
Well, we're trying. We're trying. We know that we're going to be at this for a while. We're going to certainly be continuing these Tuesday meetings here as we go forward in the spring and our community conversation. So I said, well, we better get a little bit better at it. But hey, we survived up to this point, Laurie. So we're doing.
Oh yeah, no, it's good.
Chris, what's up with you and the crew?
Yeah, how are you doing today? We had a good call yesterday with our weekly Rhode Island Small Business Coalition call. And obviously, again, reminder to everybody, if you haven't registered yet to be a member of our coalition, go to rismallbusiness.org. The focus of yesterday's call was about the year ahead, right? And what steps we are making as a coalition, formulating that 501c6, building that team together, and identifying what are key initiatives that we want to focus on this year. And as Laurie, was talking about yesterday, we really have to look at it even in a smaller lens. What can we do through these next 6 months through the summer and have that type of really focused approach, understanding when the General Assembly's sessions are. So, it was a really productive call, thinking about, what's the plan ahead and how we can focus and support our small businesses and really formulate, our coalition so that we can be a true advocate like we have been since April, but also even taking it a step further, lobbying and working with the General Assembly.
Yeah, that's great, Chris. And then of course we're going to incorporate all of that in this transition strategy that we're talking about. Small businesses will clearly be one of the top tier groups that we get off the ground initially, and then continue that, through the coalition for several months. And that was the goal, is to establish something for the small businesses so they have an advocacy group, and to be very, very consistent and persistent on that, right? Because I think that there's, not only do we have to work our way through the impacts of this pandemic, we also have to be thinking long term about if adjustments are made, for instance, on the minimum wage, which that's happening, is that at the same time we need to be putting down areas that can be adjusted to compensate for that. In terms of the overhead that gets increased by a small business when that happens. We also have to figure out a way, if there are ways, to decrease overhead in ways that are well thought out. So that's why this coalition is so important.
And speaking of consistent and persistent, there's no one more consistent and persistent to supporting small businesses than you have been for your decades in service. So we look forward to continuing to work with you in your office, who has been extremely helpful, supportive of small businesses. So we're really excited for the year ahead. But obviously, it's still extremely difficult time for our small businesses. We're happy about the second round of PPP, but there's still a lot more work to be done, including, just to simply shop local as well and support our local businesses.
Yeah, and Chris, so we're definitely going to take a look at the funds that were allocated that we're not awarded, and to try to track that down. The hard deadline of December 30th has been extended into this year. So if in fact there are funds that were allocated to help small businesses that weren't awarded, and those funds are still available, we'll figure our way to channel that back into the small business community in a smart way. So that's
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, Lori.
Yeah.
How are you?
Great. I'm great. So in support of all these efforts, I think just an update on the shoplocalrhodeisland.com site. We've spent the last month really fine tuning, duplicates on the site. We know that the site has the ability to have any business's e-commerce or gift card links. We have about 2,000 businesses on the site, and we're communicating this information every week to about 2,500 businesses. And our goal on the shop local end is, of course, to keep the dollars in Rhode Island and to make sure that we are shortening our supply chain and really supporting the idea that small business is the safer route, and that the small businesses are caring for their communities. And of course, we're doing everything we can. If you are a small business on the site, we are highlighting through our social media arm any business that's having deals and specials up until Valentine's Day. So if you're a business and you've been thinking about getting some energy around selling things for Valentine's Day, we're definitely pushing that. We also have specialty tags for our businesses for women-owned, Black-owned, LGBTQ, minority, veterans-owned businesses. So if there are customers out there looking for specific businesses, you have that option as well. So the shoplocalrhodeisland.com component of this is to really allow the businesses to make a platform, a digital platform for themselves. And again, keeping dollars in Rhode Island. We're getting the federal dollars in, and it's going to be better for our communities to have those dollars spent here.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. And one of the things through all the networks that have been developed by the Small Business Coalition, and the contacts that we have with Mark and the SBA, those are going to pay dividends, because we're going to hit the ground running. Where last year when the PPP came out, there was a new program, obviously under the conditions, and it wasn't really organized in a way that we could get directly to large groups of businesses. They were all kind of on their own, but the work that you and Chris and Justin have done, along with the other coalition members that have been participating, now you really can drive that information out, not only on the shop local, but if there are more grant programs, or if there is. Justin's coming in. Nice, Justin. I hope you've been noticing I've been wearing your mask.
Yeah.
I have been. Every time I watch it, I laugh. I say, if
Yeah.
only they knew I printed that thing like in a basement somewhere.
Yeah, I know that. But anyways, the network is going to really bring value. I mean, getting the business open obviously is a priority, but getting money into our businesses as much as we can. That's why I keep on repeating. If you are eligible and you still feel as though, hey, I'm doing okay, you need to apply. Those dollars need to come into the state. Every dollar, as Lori just said, that comes in the state circulates 4 or 5 times. So the more dollars we bring into the state, if you're eligible, then, and even if you're marginally eligible, as Mark Haywood said, if you got that 25% loss of revenue and you hit that standard, then apply. Even if you're kind of moving forward pretty good right now, we want that money to come into the state. Otherwise, it's either not going to get used, as in the last PPP rounds, almost $100 billion was not used nationally. We want to make sure that Rhode Island, every single business that qualifies, and we'll help them walk through that application. Justin, welcome. How's your I visited your new shop a few weeks ago, but how's that going?
It's going pretty good. We've been really good on the retail segment. Hats off to Liz and her team. We had our COVID pop-up inspection. You would think a sign shop would be perfect. We were missing one little thing, and we took care of that. But they were very great, very professional. If any businesses that are on here haven't had one yet, don't be afraid. Everyone made it seem like it was going to be this big audit, and it was nice. It was easy. They were very friendly. So things have been really good here. We've been working with you behind the scenes in some of the transition stuff, and it's just been fun. It's been a good ride.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to kind of having that transition hit many areas, but we know that there's certain priorities that we got to hit, which is the health and the economy, and then the schools clearly are right at the top of things. And we're putting together some good groups together to kind of give some guidance on that.
I love Mark Hayward's suggestion around really teaching entrepreneurship and this idea around running small business, because as we know, small business in Rhode Island is over 95% of our revenue. So I think that in the future, Governor, there will be a great opportunity for all of us to work together and really support the growth of the small businesses in a real substantive way. I'm excited.
That's the silver lining, Lori, right? Because now you got some base to kind of work off of. That we did the Entrepreneur Challenge for high school students. Yeah. Tens of thousands of dollars of scholarship money have been awarded through our office through the generosity of the local credit unions and a handful of small businesses. And we're going to make sure that continues as in the new Lieutenant Governor's office. And now we're going to take it into our office. But I'd like to see that established every year as really a great program that grows and grows as we go down the road 10 years from now, 15 years from now.
Really important.
Exactly what you just talked about. We also have partnered in with, that we got preempted by the COVID, where we were going to partner in with the local Boys and Girls Clubs. And we had someone who does entrepreneur curriculum, a nonprofit in Boston that was working through the Met School, that was going to come in and work with our Boys and Girls Clubs and actually teach entrepreneur classes. And we're going to need people to help out with that. So I'm sure that's going to continue, but what you're suggesting is even larger. I mean, this could really expand what, the idea that I want to, get is these municipal education departments like I did in Cumberland. We've had, I don't know how many, in 14 years, we've had thousands and thousands of students run in there through all different age groups, from pre-K all the way through high school in a learning environment 52 weeks out of the year. I think that if we are able to do that, Mark's suggestion to bring an entrepreneur curriculum piece into every single community in the state and to offer that up to those individuals, students that are interested, what a powerful possibility that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. I mean, there's so many things they can do. Sorry, Justin.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like with the studio here, that we're going to try to get into, as we move forward, and kind of shift out of stuff. I feel like the art of screen printing, the art of printing, is kind of dying off. So we want to take some kids that are, local, that want to learn a trade and come in and learn how to do it, hands on.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can all, work on something like that.
Well, the Boys and Girls Club can be a real good resource. There's like 26,000 members in the Boys and Girls Club network. I mean, we certainly can run things through the schools, but I said they got all they can handle right now. I'm certainly would be partners with us. But yeah, we got to find those networks that are outside the school strategy that have young people in them. And by the way, about a young entrepreneur, Justin, just a reminder, I'm waiting for that young man that I met to provide me with that superhero. I don't think I've got that yet.
It's funny because his mother was in the shop the other day buying some stuff, and that was the first thing she said. She said, he didn't forget about him. He's just perfecting it a little bit more. She said, but it's making it so much more special now.
We'll perfect him and we'll bring him on to give that superhero. We're going to need some superheroes as we move forward with the challenges that we're going to work with. So anyways, thanks to the coalition. Thanks for everybody for being here. We'll see you next week for sure. Okay.
See you.
Thanks, Gov.
Have a good one.
Yep. Yes, I don't know if we have any other businesses that are coming on. Yep, we got Rick. Great, Rick. David, great. All right, Anthony's here as well. We tried Anthony last week. Well, hopefully we have a better connection this week, and Harry. So this is great. Let's start with Anthony because let's see if you got a better connection this week, Anthony. You are involved with an innovation that we were talking about, delivery strategies for different retail and restaurants. Give us an update on that, Anthony, and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Governor-elect. Can you hear me at all?
Yes, we're good. Success.
Okay, there we go. All right, awesome. Governor-elect, thank you for having me. We've come a long way since the last time that we talked. We have an offshoot of my company, No Contact Valet. We started a subsidiary called Newport Dine Out, and it's very exciting. We've been partnering with restaurants left and right, and we're offering them this service for free. We build the online ordering platform for free at no charge to the restaurant. We never charge them any kind of commission or fees whatsoever. And it's really taken off. We've gone from having a couple of restaurants, and within 7 weeks of launching the online ordering platform, we're now passing 30 restaurants on the island here. And we're set to probably double that within the next month. And on top of that, it's been exciting because we're able to hire a lot of people that have had their hours cut back or that have been laid off. Now we currently have 17 drivers. We're set to also double that number too within the next couple of weeks. So it's really amazing. I can't thank enough the support of the locals here, the local restaurants, and also the local government here. Senator DePalma has been amazing and kind of guiding us through different things. It's just a really, really phenomenal project. We also are going to be in the first quarter of this year donating 10% of our profits, and we're going to continue to do that on a regular basis to the Potter League for Animals and also the MLK Community Center Food Bank programs because this company is also about giving back to the community too.
Yeah, Anthony, that's great. And then restaurants want to access your service. What's the best way to kind of make that contact?
They can go on to newportdineout.com and they can there's a link where they can click our email. It's anthony@nocontactvalet.com, or they can call us at 401-533-3705, and we'd be more than happy to help any restaurant. We're not just planning to stay here on the island, but we're also in the process of expanding off island too. Our goal is to help any restaurant in the state of Rhode Island to get back on their feet by using delivery.
And I think that you mentioned last time your intention was to have a platform that was going to be affordable for the restaurants to work with. Have you been able to make that work under your business model?
Yes. So the great thing is our motto for our company is we're restaurants to use and we always will be. So they never have to worry about paying a dime ever to us. We make customers charge a $5 flat fee plus a 2.9% fee that goes that Square charges us. We just pass along to the customer. We actually don't make money off of that 2.9%. We're like, again, where we make our money is the $5 flat rate, and we make it on volume. So the more orders we get, the more money my company makes. And 100% of any tips that my drivers make, they get to keep.
Great. Yeah, well, Anthony, thanks for coming back. I know some of the town felt as though that was really important to give an update because we're still, the innovation that's going to develop out of this is going to be very important. And so you're shifting the way you're shifting. And then I'm sure when things get back to a spot where you're going to have your normal services, that you're going to be able to bring that back as well, right? I mean, you're just waiting on and explain what your normal business model is.
The company with being an errand service and also doing same day next day grocery delivery, we feel that we can still do that. We're obviously going to expand that as much as we can, but the restaurants, as you know, are really hurting, and they don't really have any options. So we're giving them that option where they can use us. They never have to worry about paying any kind of fees whatsoever. And we even have, like, some of the restaurants I always tell every restaurant, if you've laid off anybody or you've cut back anybody's hours, we'd be more than happy to take them on and hire them, because we're growing very, very, very fast. And as you know, there's not many alternatives to delivery. We're the only takeout food delivery company in the state of Rhode Island that doesn't charge restaurants. So that makes us, really unique in that sense.
Yeah, that's a big deal too, Anthony, and being able to respond the way you have in a business model that you can manage, because many of the restaurants have held off from doing the delivery because of the overhead of, providing the delivery, where it was kind of like cost neutralizing it was kind of neutralizing any level of profit they can make on it. So if there's a way that can do that, and then I know that the customers, the people who you're serving, delivering to, many of them, most of them are going to want to be very supportive of their local small businesses. The work that we're doing here and the work that the Small Business Coalition is doing is, we're going to keep on hammering how important our small businesses are. And there's so many people who want to support our small business. So you provided them that opportunity. Thanks, Anthony, coming back to give us an overview. David, say hello and give us a quick update on the REMA, but the one I wanted you to come on was the quick, those rapid test strategies that we've talked about that I think can make a big difference. And then, I know I'm in contact with Rick, and I'll have Rick kind of weigh in on what's happened on Federal Hill, and then also Harry telling us a little bit what's going on with the salvage business and that market. But thanks for being here.
My pleasure. The Binex rapid testing has been a great success for the manufacturing community, and we've expanded it out to the chambers and other small businesses as well. I was just talking to Carl Watterson at Vivco, and he's using the service on a regular weekly basis, testing 80 to 100 of his employees on a consistent basis. I got a email this morning from my TriMac, Mike Jasmine over there, and I'll just read you what he sent me in the email. Testing in the factory a few weeks ago, and have had great support from our employees. The process is easy and effective. We have already identified some positives that would have otherwise gone unnoticed. So it's a program that I have been advocating with the governor and Stephen Pryor for the last 3 to 4 months. And we finally got it in place beginning of December or so. And the manufacturers have really embraced it quite a bit. And the way it really works, Dan, is if someone is homesick and they don't know what they got, it could be a cold. Well, now the employer can set up a station outside. They can come in, test themselves, and in 15 to 20 minutes, they know if they got the cold or they got the COVID. It's totally different from the PCR rapid testing they use that takes about 24 to 48 hours. This is, right away. The PCR can detect the very minutest of the COVID versus the rapid testing with Binex. It just tells you if you got it or you don't have it.
Yeah, that's great, David. I think that that's going to play. I was talking earlier to Liz about, you really zeroing in on businesses that have been very restricted to protect our health. I think that this particular thing is going to allow us to, and I believe that we should have incremental type of progress, to evaluate as we go along and making sure that we're quick but not in a hurry to get to where we want to go, and that way we don't have to kind of move it back. And I think these rapid tests with a strategy that the local businesses understand, as long as the supply is there, is going to be incredibly helpful to identify those businesses that have been heavily restricted to help kind of move them forward. Rick, thank you for being here. I know that we've talked clearly about the Federal Hill restaurants, but you also have a association of restaurants as well that you've explained to me that is, a couple hundred that are around the state, and I know you've talked to David. So just quickly give us a little overview of the organizations that you've been able to put together on the restaurants that didn't exist pre-COVID, but they exist now to kind of move this issue forward. And then tell us what your experience if you're able to kind of get off the ground this rapid test strategy that might be able to be helpful to you. Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for having me on. And I want to first thank David for his advocacy on this, because he has been a tremendous wealth of knowledge and support on the Binex testing. So I want to preface it with that, and your encouragement as well, because for bringing us together on it. The Federal Hill Commerce Association has over 50 restaurants that are situated just in a very small 2 to 3 mile radius there. And then on top of that, the Ocean State Coalition that was formed at the end of March of last year brought together over another 200 restaurants and small businesses that just didn't have a voice or didn't have a membership in another organization. And thanks to your leadership with the Rhode Island Business Coalition and this, they've been able to be a part of both organizations, and in some cases also with Luke and the wedding events industry. So they've got a lot of voices now where they didn't have that before. And I think the more voices they have, as you've said, is better for them. But there's still a lot of support and a lot of things needed for all of these businesses. And right now, as of today, with Dave's support and yours, and with Sam at the Department of Health, I'm really, really happy to say by the end of today, we have 10 new restaurants that will be signed up and starting the Binex testing before the end of the week. And with the Department of Health, we look to have another 30 by Friday that will be signed up.
That's great, Rick, because as I've talked to you, I think that those are measures that can be, compensations to, increasing footprints, right? So if as long as supply is there and like David is able to, and the state is able to provide the testing and the guidance on how to make it work. And I know there's some level of reporting back to the state, but that's so important. This whole, the theme that I'm talking about is let's stay positive, test negative. That only feeds into that, right? It's a positive move to help out, and then also let's take a look at the testing, and the more negative tests we get, the better. Quite frankly, the better the data is going to be. Real data is going to be showing that a picture that is going to be progressing. So that's it. It all fits in, and hopefully we'll have the supply and then the guidance to do that. I think the gyms have started to do that. Judah out in his gym in Smithfield is started to do that as well. And I think that they can apply to a lot of these events in a way that can help open up the economy quicker. So David, thank you so much for the leadership on this. This is critical. I mean, this is providing a tool to the businesses and then having them actually respond in a way that continues to talk about how the safety is so important to us, not only to our families, their health, but also our families in terms of the economy. So that's great, Rick. David, thank you for both being here. Harry, introduce yourself. I was able to visit you with Cheyenne in our office a year back when we were on the used car dealer tour, 39 different car dealers in the state, and then you have an unbelievable. You toured me through your 15 acres of your vehicles that are there for parts. I still got to come back because I didn't. The part that I got for my 2004 Acura for the spare tire didn't fit, so I got to bring that back to you. So on my spare time, I'm gonna bring it back in exchange for maybe for one that works. But tell us a little bit about your business, and then also some of the things that has challenged your business during this time frame.
I own a auto recycling business, and we sell used cars and do towing as well. It really hasn't slowed down too much as far as selling parts, but the towing has slowed way down, and the used cars have slowed way down as well.
Yeah, and so some of the challenges that we've talked about on these are the particular things that impact businesses. Every business sector has their own challenges. You've talked about the salvage thing with me in terms of the way that other states are dealing with salvage inspections during this period of time. I don't quite fully understand it, but I know it's an issue that other states are doing a little bit stronger. But mention how some of those challenges you have and how maybe other states are doing it to help the small businesses, and how we could, incorporate that, still protect the consumer to a large degree, but help that, help the local business in a way that you're not going through so much, paperwork or delays.
Well, originally, before the COVID, it was pretty cut and dry how to do it. But then when COVID came in, everything got put on the back burner as far as who handled the paperwork and who did the inspections and when they could be done. I feel as though it is getting better. And I don't have a lot of information for other states other than hearsay. And I have friends in Massachusetts who say it's very simple to repair a salvage car and get the paperwork done. I can't say the same for Rhode Island. There are a lot of hoops that you have to jump through and be very clear on your paperwork as far as even having pictures and descriptions of the work that you did.
Yeah, so Harry, I know that Director Bud Craddock has been really, really good in terms of when we organized, and you helped organize an association for the used car dealers in particular, and then bringing national in and Massachusetts in, and I think that avenue now with before the COVID hit, there was certainly a plan for DMV to have a ombudsman at those meetings and to walk through. And that's just an indication of bringing people together and having them talk to one another rather than having people just talking amongst themselves. That's progress. So we'll keep on doing that, Harry. Thank you for your leadership. I know that you've been a leader in that industry and serving on the board for many, whether it's the towing or whether it's the salvage issue. So
I've been in them all. I don't know how much I've helped, but I've been in them.
Well, as long as you're in, that's the start. If you're not, then the people are not really working hard to help the industry that you're in. And that's our idea. There's 14 different industries in the state of Rhode Island. We've got to be aware of each and every one to kind of move it forward for our economy. So we went a little overtime today. Thank you for all of you to be here, and you're all invited. And I know that a couple of you are on our transition efforts. So the more the merrier. There's not really a limit on this. We're going to figure out a way to engage, several hundred people in this transition strategy, so that as we set up the things that are important to people, whether it's, I'm not going to talk the categories, but there's multiple categories that are important to people that we can kind of, continue that communication in a way that has direct access to me as a lieutenant governor and down the line as the governor. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. So we did go a little over, but that information is important, and to continue bringing in our small businesses to tell that story. Share this out, and then make sure that if you have questions, you can call our office. Ben can put up that number. He's put it up over and over again. And I would just say, finally, let's make sure that we stay positive and test negative, and do everything we can possibly do to make that happen. Call our office if you think we can help you. And also let us know if you wanted to be involved in the transition efforts. We certainly will reach out to you and try to make you feel as though you're part of this stay positive messaging. test negative. Stay safe. Thanks a lot. All right, over.